All right, so M.O.D.O.K is a Hulu original series that ran for one season back in 2021 and then got canceled, unfortunately. It's a robot chicken style show set in the Marvel Universe with the character of M.O.D.O.K voiced by Patton Oswalt. And it has a really great voice cast in here, of course, Patton Oswalt being a really great voice actor, along with the other people that I'll mention in a minute. Not only that, it has a lot of humor, it has a lot of heart. And just the animation in general, I think, is a really fun format for the Marvel Universe that hasn't really been done before. And if you didn't watch my trailer discussion for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I mentioned this show in that discussion because, of course, the character of M.O.D.O.K showed up in that trailer. And I thought it'd be fun for the people that do know M.O.D.O.K and for the people that don't know M.O.D.O.K to have this review out for them to maybe learn a little bit more or kind of reminisce about this show. But yeah, I would definitely recommend checking this out right off the bat. I know I'm kind of giving away what I think about this show, but the only reason I'm talking about it is because I think it's worth talking about. Like I said, it came out in 2021, so I could easily just forget about this and never even talk about it on the channel. But with, the cancellation of the show and also the new look of M.O.D.O.K in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It just looks crazy in there, and some people might be a little turned off by that. They might be a little weirded out, and I just want to give them this show to show that this character is ridiculous, and there's really no way to do it seriously. But this show is created for television by Jordan Blum and Patton Oswalt, of course, who stars in the show as M.O.D.O.K, almost forgot the name for a second there, and based on the Marvel Comics by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. In the voice cast, I already mentioned Patton Oswalt, but we also have Amy Garcia as his wife, yes, M.O.D.O.K's wife, Jodie Tarleton. We have Ben Schwartz as his son, Lou Tarleton. Ben Schwartz, one of my favorite, comedians, voice actors just in general. I think he's hilarious, and I love the character of Lou in here, which I'll get to in a minute. We have Melissa Fumero as I can't talk right now, apparently. Melissa Fumero as Melissa Tarleton, the daughter of M.O.D.O.K, of course. And you might know her from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I believe she plays Amy Santiago, one of my favorite shows for sure. I love that one. Who else do we have here? We have John Daly as Super Adaptoid. Kind of a little sidekick, kind of housebot for M.O.D.O.K, although he probably wouldn't like me calling him a housebot. We have Sam Richardson as Gary Geraldson, which is, and everybody at AIM, which is this company that M.O.D.O.K owns, or at least in this show, let me see, Beck Bennett as Austin Vandersleet's like trying to take over AIM, M.O.D.O.K's company. But essentially at M.O.D.O.K's company, there's a bunch of people dressed up in these yellow hazmat suits. There's this one guy, they don't show him like losing his arm ever, but there's just one guy in a yellow hazmat suit who's just like missing his right arm. And he's constantly talking about how he's just like missing that arm. Sam Richardson, great actor. I think he's hilarious. And that character in there, just kind of one of those side characters that's just kind of like used as a joke, but at the same time, you kind of got to love him. He's hilarious. Who else do we have here? We have Wendy McLendon Covey as Monica Rappaccini. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Probably not. But that is actually a character from the comics, I believe. Monica is like a really big character attached to M.O.D.O.K in the comics, if I'm remembering correctly. Really the only, context I have with M.O.D.O.K is just seeing pictures from him in the comics, seeing him in the Marvel Avengers game, and then this show here. Who else do we have? Just a couple people I will mention that play some other Marvel characters that you might recognize. We have John Hamm playing Iron Man / Tony Stark, who does a great job voicing the character. I feel like he would be a cool live-action Tony Stark, but I feel like his voice is a little bit better for Tony Stark than his actual look. No offense towards his look, because obviously he's a very handsome man, but I feel like at this point he might be just a little too old for the part. Just a little bit. But also, who do we have here? Trevor Duvall as Balder the Brave, which is actually a character they were about to bring into the Marvel Universe with, I believe, Thor: Love and Thunder. It was going to be played by Daniel Craig. Hopefully we'll see that character in the Marvel Universe going forward. That'd be cool, especially played by Daniel Craig, but we shall see. And then the big one in here, he plays somewhat of a big part, especially towards the end of this first season, or I guess the only season, is Nathan Fillion playing Simon Williams / Wonder Man. who is a character that might soon be played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, from what I heard, which, if that's the case, I love that actor. He's one of my favorite actors right now, so just to get him in the MCU would be fantastic. But yeah, Wonder Man in here, quite a fun character. And just to mention a couple other people, and I'm not going to mention the characters for these two people here in particular because they voice multiple characters. When it comes to shows like this, it's not out of the ordinary for, one person to play multiple characters. Bill Hader and Kevin Michael Richardson play a slew of characters in this show. Two of arguably one of the greatest voice actors of the generation that we're in right now. Come for me if you want. But I think Bill Hader is a great voice actor. He can do so much. He literally did the voice for BB-8 in The Force Awakens. So literally, if you want to argue with me that he's not a good voice actor, you can just stop that argument right now. Kevin Michael Richardson, I can't remember anything at the moment that he's been in. I feel like he might play King Shark in the Harley Quinn show, but I might be mistaking him with somebody else. But I know he's done a lot of voice work, so also really talented guy there. But Bill Hader being one of my favorite actors, he's one of those people I have to mention whenever he shows up anywhere. Last person I will mention here, actually two people I'll mention because this is how this show works with, and it kind of does a similar thing with She-Hulk, the way She-Hulk brought in these really just obscure characters for Marvel. I don't even know if these are actual Marvel characters. I would imagine so, but we have Whoopi Goldberg as Marion Pouncey / Poundcakes and Dustin Ybarra as Antonia Rodriguez / Armadillo. I'm guessing those are really deep cut Marvel characters, similar to what they did in She-Hulk, having those really deep cut Marvel characters. I love it when, Marvel in particular does this kind of stuff to bring out these characters that nobody would ever think even existed. DC has a lot of really great characters like that, like Danny the Street. He's literally like a sentient street. Yeah, just look it up. He actually shows up in Doom Patrol, I believe, but I haven't watched that show personally. I'm more of a Marvel fan than DC, if you can't tell. But yeah, lots of really great voice talent in here. Lots of really fun characters, like I said, and definitely some fun little cameos and Easter eggs from other Marvel characters that you might know. I know there's a lot of other ones in there that I'm missing, but Fing Fang Foom is one of them. There's lots of different little, 20% low battery. Oh no. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool Easter eggs in here that if you're not paying attention or if you're not aware of some of these more deep cut characters, you might not even notice it in the background. You might think it's just randomness going on in the background, but the fun thing about this type of, when it comes to pretty much most animation, you can do this, but with this type of claymation thing that they're going for, very Robot Chicken-esque, it makes everything in the background just kind of seem like a kid playing with their action figures, and I feel like that's the most fun part about this. It kind of does a similar thing to what the Lego Movie does, where it's just so fun to watch because it's so energetic, and it's also just very detail oriented, so even if you're not necessarily paying attention to what they're talking about, you can look in the background and just see all these different details. And maybe it's not even a detail like a little Marvel Easter egg or anything like that, but it's just small little details of maybe some character doing something funny in the background. There's a lot of really clever stuff that they do in this show. Not even just on the surface with what they're doing in terms of the story and the voice acting and whatnot, but even in the background, even the subtle details, I think they fill that empty space with something, and rarely does it ever feel like there's too much on the screen. They really set up this world perfectly. But yeah, Patton Oswalt in here as M.O.D.O.K. He's actually in the MCU now as that little troll that showed up at the end of Eternals. Some people might not even know that is him. It didn't really sound like him, to be honest, but Patton Oswalt, he does a lot of great voice work. He did Remy the Rat in Ratatouille, which is one of my favorite Pixar movies for sure. He's done a lot of other voice work outside of that. But Ben Schwartz, oh my god, I love Ben Schwartz. He is so funny. He makes me laugh so hard. And Lou Tarleton in here, the son of M.O.D.O.K, he is the funniest character. He steals the show whenever he is on screen. There's a moment in here where M.O.D.O.K, and I'll say this right off the bat about the kind of story that's going on here. M.O.D.O.K, you got this crazy villain, and it was kind of fun, those little hazmat guys that I was talking about. I think I mentioned that before. Yeah, those little hazmat guys in the yellow suits that I was talking about. In the very beginning of the show, they're like, they see M.O.D.O.K leave work. They're like, I wonder where he goes. Probably to his evil lair. And he just shows up in his garage and he's like, oh great, they didn't take out the trash. And you just see this evil, maniacal villain just come home to a wife and children, and with the typical story like this, he's kind of a piece of shit. So, his marriage is on the rocks. One of his kids, at least, doesn't necessarily like him, that being Melissa Tarleton, because, she's the daughter, she's a teenager and all that. Funny enough, Lou isn't actually in one of the chairs like M.O.D.O.K is, but Melissa is. If they could have gone on with more seasons, maybe they could have, put a little more into that story as to why she's in a chair and he isn't. I don't know. But maybe they didn't really care about that. Maybe that wasn't a big deal, But I thought it was interesting that he wasn't in one, but she was. Maybe because her mind is more expanded. I don't know. I'm not going to get too deep with that. But yeah, let me see. Just looking at my my notes here. But yeah, I love the concept of M.O.D.O.K coming home to a family and having normal, everyday human issues while also trying to, take over the world. And like I said before, you have the character of Austin Vanderbeek, played by Beck Bennett, who comes in. He's this new big CEO guy who comes in, sponsored by Monster. Literally every drawer in his office has a Monster energy drink in it. And I'm just like, oh my God, he's literally one of those types of guys. And I just love the way Beck Bennett plays him too. Beck Bennett was definitely perfect. A perfect casting choice for this type of character. But essentially he's taken over the company of AIM, which is a company that has been introduced in the MCU, I believe, with Iron Man 3. That was the character that Mandarin, was the head of, essentially, I believe. So it is, an element that could come back in the future. I think it might, with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, maybe M.O.D.O.K will come out of the quantum realm and take over that company, possibly. I would like that. But that's beside the point. Another thing I will say, to the point of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, do I think the character of M.O.D.O.K will be as funny as he is in this show? Not necessarily, but I feel like with a character like that, there's only so much that you can take seriously with a dude with a gigantic head and like little tiny arms and legs. Like, it looks hilarious, trust me, but like, I feel like people will get used to it when it comes to the actual movie. You only see a couple shots in the trailer, but again, like, I don't think they're going to be able to take it too seriously. As serious of a tone as that trailer has, I don't think it's going to be quite as serious all the time as that trailer kind of sets the tone up to be, because even the like Avengers Endgame trailer is super dark. It kind of had to be, but by the time the movie came out, it was kind of funny. And I feel like that will probably be the case with Quantumania, but that's beside the point. We are talking about M.O.D.O.K. But yeah, the character of Lou, hilarious. He's the reason to watch the show, honestly. He's the reason I like to watch the show, or rewatch the show every once in a while. I did watch this when it first came out, and I very much enjoyed it then. And just with the release of the Quantumania trailer, I was like, hey, they showed M.O.D.O.K in there. I think it would be a fun thing to just quickly review and give my thoughts on. I really don't have a whole lot else to say about it, to be completely honest, other than it hits on the comedy. It hits on some surprisingly, heartfelt elements in there that you wouldn't quite expect when it comes to, the relationship between M.O.D.O.K and his wife. Typically in a show like this, that mushy-gushy stuff just wouldn't quite cut it. But in here, it actually works, because even with as evil as M.O.D.O.K is in this show, you still kind of like the guy. They do enough stuff in here to actually make you like him and make you feel for him. So at the end of the day, this is a show I would definitely recommend to you guys if you have Hulu. I wouldn't say you have to necessarily buy a subscription to Hulu to watch it. But let me see if I have any other notes. I don't think so. I think I said a lot of what I already had to say. Yeah, pretty much. I think that is it. Oh, I hate to spoil this, but there's a moment in there where you get two Lou's. It's M.O.D.O.K, so he's like a science guy, and Lou gets like, duplicated at one point, and then you just have both of the Lou's just like best friends with each other. Funniest shit in the world. Like, I could literally just watch them go back and forth all day. Maybe it's just the blonde in me, but they're just hilarious. Like, the biggest takeaway in here, if nothing else, just watch this for Ben Schwartz's Lou, because it makes me laugh so hard. But yeah, I mean, it might not be the most factual in terms of telling you about the character of M.O.D.O.K. It might not give you the most factual origin. You know, it's maybe not the most comic book accurate, but at the end of the day, it will give you the essence of the character. It will show you that it's a character that you can't necessarily take too seriously, because at the end of the day, of course, it is a giant freaking head in a floating chair. So, you know, there's only so much you can take seriously with that. So in case you're wondering, no, it's not necessarily a character that you have to take seriously in Ant-Man, because I don't think they're going to completely play him that way. I think he's going to kind of be a badass at moments, especially when he has that mask on, but for the most part, it's going to be played for laughs. I feel like it has to be. It has to be. But yeah, not the most in-depth review of the show ever, I know. But I just wanted to come on and talk about it real quick, because it's maybe one of those shows that flew under people's radar. And, you know, for people that are interested in this new Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania thing, they're curious about the character of M.O.D.O.K. I thought it'd be fun to come in and talk about it for a little bit. And maybe, who knows, if I get enough people to go watch this show, maybe if we can get people on the M.O.D.O.K. train, maybe they'll uncancel it and go for another season, because I would really love another season of this show. I think it's fantastic. It's a lot of fun and definitely worth watching. Again, I'm not going to give this like a premium subscription, which usually means you should buy the subscription service to watch it. I would give it a standard, which means it's worth the price of the subscription if you already have it. So yeah, if you have like the Disney bundle, or if you just have Hulu, definitely worth your time watching. It's not going to take up a whole lot of your day, about 25 minutes each for each episode. You know, if you don't have ads, that's not too bad for me personally. So yeah, give M.O.D.O.K. a watch on Hulu if you got it. Yeah, you might thank me, or you might be like, hey, this show isn't for me, but I would completely understand. Either way, if you have seen M.O.D.O.K. on Hulu, what did you think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you in the middle? It's definitely a show I very, very, very much like, but I wouldn't say love, because love is a strong word. Is it, again, one of the best shows I've watched, you know, of all time, not necessarily. And since it only had one season, there's only so much you can really go off of just from that first season alone, which is also kind of why, you know, this review wasn't as in-depth as it could be. Plus, I just didn't want to give much away, because I really want people to go watch it. I think it's a fun time. It's worth watching if you have Hulu or the Disney bundle or whatever it might be. Go check it out. I would very much appreciate it. Have you not seen the show? Are you planning on checking it out? Why or why not? I'd love to hear from you. Really, any comments you have, I would love to hear from you guys. I respond to pretty much every comment. Leave a like on the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload, and I will see you in the next one.